They're on the hunt, literally on the hunt with Bloodhound. I'm super impressed, and I know we talk about people shifting to meta, and Caustic is usually part of the conversation. Bloodhound has really never been a serious part of the conversation, but I think that if teams are wanting to play like Complexity, they could honestly create a new meta with Bloodhound in it.
I think you're right, and after all, that is basically how metas evolve over time. Is one team runs one strat, starts dominating with it, it works really well. Other teams learn from that, and then there's a couple ways it could go, but either it's working out for Complexity.
Yo, wait, don't forget to join the...
I'm joining right now. Yeah, my bad, bro.
Grab another water bottle.
Oh my god, I just turned your stream on and saw you disconnect and start freaking out. Thank you for not yelling while I was fucking...
I know, shut the fuck up, bro. Just shut the fuck up. I'm gonna get some water. Good job, boys. Keep it up. Stop. You're back in the water. We're gonna keep killing. Only second game. Go, keep it up. Love you.
No point. The only reason why they're in 7th place because they ratted the second in the first game. That was them ratting.
But they only have 1 KP. Okay, I think we can do it.
They're in 7th place right now.
Alright.
So stressful.
I know.
I just was like, when I was rewatching this, I was laughing so hard.
Let's keep it going, boys. Let's go.
Keep it moving.
Listen, team, keep playing as a team. Just keep doing what we're doing, alright?
Yes, sir. That's all we gotta do.
All we gotta do, bro. We literally play as a team
As
when
long as
we're
we're
really...
playing for each other, bro, we're fucking killing it.
Yeah, every time.
We're all on fucking
We
top
played
of the
Edge
game.
as a fucking pack team and got second. That's how fucking good we are.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's every day. Exactly. Every damn second of the day, baby. Let's go. Let's stay hot, boys. Keep it hot. Let's go.
Yeah, 3.
That Jibby and that Wraith. And Wraith in particular is a legend that I feel like we see showing up on nearly every single comp. So what do you think it is about Wraith that is making her so viable during this time?
Teams usually use her for rotation, so I don't think you'll really see anybody getting rid of her, because when they're stuck in a tough position and they can't get out of it, no other legend is going to offer them a way out where they can't take any damage while escaping a situation. So Wraith's Portal is a very big part of why they keep her on the team instead of other legends.
That is a great point, because, you know, we see some other legends that also do have nice escape. Of course, Octane can always, you know, shoot himself up.
Amount of a point in between them and the others, but hopefully they can at least get top 10. Here we have Nicewig, who was initially the kill leader that right before Monsoon killed him. Nicewig was fragging out. This is one of his best performances during the ALGS. They didn't do very well last time, but they placed really well in the quals, and now I feel like they're out for blood in this competition.
I feel like you're right. I feel like a lot of teams are out for blood today in these competitions, which honestly I love to see. I love seeing the high action games. When I'm playing, I admit I do play like a rat just a little bit more, but when it comes to seeing the guys that actually know what they're doing and play at a really, really high level, I think it's fun to watch all of those kills racking up, and that is definitely shaping up to be what we have in store for us today. But hey, if you guys have opinions, I feel like you might. We'd like to hear those opinions. So remember, you can always tweet us at PlayApex. Tell us what you think of the competition so far, who you think is going to go all the way, how many kills is going to be the next amount of top kills we see in the next match. And remember to use that hashtag ALGS to make sure we see it. You might even get a tweet of yours read out here on the broadcast if you are lucky and if you had something just so deliciously interesting to say. And of course, be sure to check out our new YouTube channel, which is Play Apex Compete. So youtube.com/PlayApexCompete if you want to see a lot more great video footage of high-level competitive plays. But we have some more high-level competitive plays lined up, ready to go in the form of match 3. So now I'm going to hand you over to our casters, Onset and Rainday.
Lenovo Legion, gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of Apex Legends Global Series.
Well, now it's our turn, Rainday, to have our say on game number 3. But before we do get into game number 3, let's just take a second to take in what just happened in game number 2, because I've got one thing to say, and it's quite simply, wow.
I gotta say, you know, it reminds me of the Baja Boys who let the dogs out. That's really what I want to say right now, and you know, I think we can hear the theme and the fun that goes along with that as well. Complexity. Nothing complex about it. They're running at you with Bloodhound, and you love to see it. This is a total shakeup for how people are expecting to play. No one is expecting to get pushed no matter what, especially in these lobbies in this type of situation. And so what Complexity is doing is they're saying our playstyle is more important than the meta. Our skill, yes, is great, But now we have synergy to go along with that skill for a team that likes to move fast, to push you, to do what you don't think we're going to do, and always keep you on your toes. And Bloodhound has fit into their roster in such a beautiful way that it was really almost just like this symphony that we were able to watch, Mark. That's the best way I can describe it. Just a beautiful symphony hitting a crescendo, and the entire crowd was just speechless. Some people had tears in their eyes. It was a beautiful performance in Apex Legends.
It really was a wonderful, wonderful thing as we do get to look early on in our game number 3 at that Pathfinder beacon as well. You can see a little bit of Survey Camp being involved in that circle. So expect to see teams fighting around almost a similar area to what we did in that previous game as well. But already we're seeing battles going down. And it's one thing that we did note while we were watching the game is how aggressive these lobbies have been. Obviously, Complexity have been a little bit of a catalyst as far as that is concerned. But in comparison to what we saw from the EMEA region, you know, there's been 7, 8 teams going into that 4th circle, whereas we were seeing sort of 15, 16, 17 making their way in a little bit earlier today.
You know, you bring up a great point in the idea of one team and their playstyle significantly impacting the way a lobby is structured as they head into the late game. To expand on that, when you look at anything like, you know, a huge movement of people or just one spark lighting an entire trail that leads to an eventual explosion of dynamite, I think Complexity is serving as that party that's starting fights, willing to fight, and then causing other teams to hear those shots, understand that there are downs, and say, wait, we can third-party this. And even if it's just one, that ends up cascading throughout the map. The players who run away from that fight move in areas that then enter into other players' zones where they're looting, where they're still holding on to their area, maybe where they're setting up for in-game. And I think that really is what we're seeing here in North America. So that might be why we're getting faster lobbies, why we're seeing more fights early on. But I also think it's a lot more interesting to watch as we have to now see teams adapt to this different play style in Game 3 as points are becoming more and more important to try and stay in the top 5.
Yeah, adaptability is something that we talk about a lot in Battle Royales and having to manage the situations that you are given. And this one's kind of a little bit of a tidal wave in comparison to what a lot of teams are, you know, used to experiencing in these lobbies. A team completely changing the way that, you know, they're playing the game and they're approaching the game. And Complexity, again, look at this, just hunting down this team that's trying to rotate away from them up this hill, and you just know that they're only going to be holding one key in this situation, and that is, of course, the W key. They're going to be chasing them down, trying to get these kills on the board, and again, it's just working for them.
And no fear, and that's one of the things that, you know, is different, because most situations, like you or me, or either players, they would take this portal and say, wait a second, maybe they got a Thermite there, maybe they have a Watson Fit. They've got all of the Complexity still going through, still saying what's up, and this is the benefit of playing that aggressively, but there is also a negative to it. There is a risk to it if a team is understanding that now you are ultimately going to be aggressive no matter what. We're going to play around your unending aggression and set something up for you when you do take a little bit more of a risky play. Luckily, though, Reptar able to make it away with about 10 health, heal up with a Phoenix, and Monsoon and the rest of the Complexity boys patiently, but still definitely pursuing this team fight.
Well, let's see how Complexity find themselves out of this situation. Let's jump into the team comms with Team Complexity.
Just disengage this. Don't fuck these guys. Yeah, I'm lagging too. Just fuck this fight.
Yeah. I'm gonna look. Heal up, Rep. They might try and push us.
Yep, they are. On my head, on my head. He's on me, He's on me.
He's one. Reloading. On my head.
Above you.
Bro, I'm lagging too hard to fight this, man. I'm lagging too hard. I'm literally lagging so hard. I just rubber band and climbed me up on the rock, dude. Dude, what the fuck? What is this?
This game fucking sucks.
Oh, Complexity lose that battle, and they lose their heads momentarily as well. You can hear the comms. It's unfortunate circumstances for them, but again, trying to keep that aggression down, and you could hear the frustration in their voices. Obviously, things not quite going their way there.
And I think here's the thing, you know, when you see a game like that, you have to expect that there's going to be an avalanche of progressive nature occurrences. One being that when anyone sees or hears a Bloodhound scan, you're going to be a priority for them to get off the table. They know how effective you are. They know how deadly you are. If they have a chance to third-party poke, help a team kill you, that makes their ability to potentially win this lobby that much higher. Nicewig coming in second place, Yeet Squad doing so well, Bowser in 6. I think being able to third-party that and just approach that with more damage, that was something that was a given considering how well that they performed. But I also just think it was a bit of confidence, a bit of, obviously they say some technical issues, so we'll never really be able to be sure we weren't playing for them. But again, it shows the risk and potentially the reward on both sides of a playstyle like that.
So after a big game number 1, Complexity, unfortunately for them, won't be contributing too much to this lobby. They won't be contributing anything at all, as they are the first team to fall in our game number 3. And that's going to light up a lot of these teams who are fighting around that top spots as well. The likes of Yeet Squad, Rogue, who are, of course, watching now, Noble, TSM, who are in that top 5. All of those teams are now going to be aware that Complexity have fallen early. And I think that's just going to maybe calm down the lobby a little bit as well. Maybe think, people are going to be thinking they can play the way they usually want to play on the map and not have to fear the fact that Complexity will be running at them at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that is also, you're totally right. Now the only team officially down in the lobby, that is going to bring them to 19 squads and a different playstyle, I'm sure. Everyone knows that Complexity is not in. So let's head over to Desune, Jupertinsky, and Bowser, who have been having a bit of trouble themselves to kind of get into the rhythm and groove of things in this America's Super Regional. This team obviously representing Tenga, which is from Argentina, as we had mentioned earlier in Game 1 when we were casting, and holding up nicely in Epicenter, blue shields to their name. So a much better start than we've seen over some of the previous games.
So we're going to see a little bit of calm in the lobby. 18 squads remaining as round 1 is about to close in around 30 seconds time or so. And this is the team that are currently leading the leaderboard. It was only momentarily we got to look in on Yeet Squad there, who are around the epicenter, but another team that's going to be looking pretty good to set up in this tunnel, where they were trying to rotate from a little bit earlier near train yard as well in that last game. Pretty similar path for them to be taking. It's of course Silver Fox, Zach, Noko, and Not. And this is a team who have had a little bit of a change around in their composition from time to time since they have been, since they've come together as a 3. We saw Zach on the Wraith, we've seen Zach on the Watson. They've pretty much all had a go at different things. And Noko was playing Gibby for a bit. Now he is moved over to the Watson. It seems like they're trying to find a kind of comfort zone between the 3 players where they're comfortable to have the most success.
And you know what? It takes a lot to do that, as well as be committed to content creation, which we all know Noko is. Most of those players, I think, have turned on the stream at least once for sure. But, the commitment to kind of putting in the extra time, not only for yourself, your brand, but also for your team. It means a lot of late nights. It means a lot of early mornings. And it cannot be underrepresented how much effort goes into that. And it seems to be a trend amongst the CLG guys as well. Nice whip. In his squad coming in second, obviously, leading the leaderboard right now. And NRG, these guys winning last OT to kind of put NRG into a conversation piece after some very unfortunate starts and roster changes throughout their kind of competitive experience, especially with some of the best players from just a visual, mechanical perspective in Dizzy and Ace a long, long time ago, kind of setting themselves the standard in Apex. But now back in fine form here in the competitive scene, and Rocker looking to push this with the Havoc on set.
You see NRG here, like you say. They're actually going to try and rotate ahead of this team, and this is something that maybe isn't talked enough about. If you see that opportunity to get ahead of teams who are fighting and get a rotation where you can then hold them out once that circle type starts to close in, you've got to take that opportunity. You've got to see those windows and obviously move through them when you do get that opportunity to do so. So I like their decision making there from NRG, deciding to leave those fights, putting a few shots on, but seeing the opportunity to rotate as a stronger one than maybe picking up just a few KP along the way.
No Coco, not Zach here moving in through tunnels. They've got 50 seconds before things start to move. 18 squads left after all the action we've seen, which was quite a bit early on, especially with the listen in. We only still have 18 squads in the lobby, so a relatively non-violent start for these teams, at least as far as the death count goes. And they will still be able to have a chance. And this lobby, I think, on set for the biggest portion of the conversation piece, not only for Complexity, is you did so well, you're in a great position, just, next game come at it, you're still in prime spot to not only qualify, but take first overall. But I think for the rest of these teams who maybe said, wow, we did not get off to such a hot start, a lot of teams have made some big games so far. It's really opened the door for teams like Sentinels, for teams like TSM who haven't gotten the win yet but have stayed involved. Noble, who's been playing fantastically so far in the top 5 currently overall, to really say, okay, this is our chance maybe to really step in front, maybe take that lead and put ourselves in a position heading into the final games.
I think you raise a great point there as well that I can kind of elaborate on by saying the teams who end up coming out on top in these tournaments that we do have in Apex Legends are the most consistent ones. One big game does not win you a tournament, and Complexity have been an example of that in previous tournaments as well. Let's think of those Game 1 performances in OT6 and OT5 where they came out of the gates, they destroyed the lobby completely, and you know, it was a little bit of a joke. I said to Monsoon, you know, what have you got to do to win a tournament? And he said not win game number 1 because we seem to just lose our heads after that. Yeah. And they kind of work from that. And, you know, for the teams like TSM, the teams like Noble and Rogue, their consistency is what has shone through so far in the Apex Legends Global Series. So we'll have to see if that rings true again here.
Yo.
Dímelo.
¿Es la que hay, papi, también?
Todo bien, todo bien. Aquí escuchando una salsita aquí a lo que.
Ah, papi. Igual que yo. No sé que lo invitamos, lo está poniendo bien. Invítalo a tirar a ver. Este aquí en campo a tirar lo que llega.
Frag out.
Sí, en un par de minutos me dijo ahora si no puedo cosas. Estoy impulso.
Hay gente aquí viendo a alguien pesado.
Estoy en el campo a tiro. Yo, what's up, bro? It's War Machine. Avanzando un poquito, bro. Avanzando un poquito, bro.
Star. Throwing an Arc Star.
vez, en vez. No, no, estoy hablando acá que estoy. No, en el mar.
Ah, felicidades.
Igual. ¿Tienes hijos tú?
Qué bendiciones, gracias a Dios.
Qué bendición. Mira, un manco, ¿verdad? Sí, manco, no puedo con... Estas mierdas no las mato de un tiro, las vamos a jugar uno. Puta. No, papi, love you. Love you. Love you. Dale, papi. Gloria, Kraven. Duelo de Kraber. estoy manqueando. Calentando, esperando que los muchachos de eso están, no sé qué carajo están esperando. Calentando un poquito antes de darle. ¿Y qué? ¿Qué es la que hay, Jamie? Dime algo. ¿Todo bien?
¿Tenía rato de no streamear o...?
Hace como más. Estos días ha sido que le he dado 2 o 3 veces por ese tiempo, me he dado, ¿no?
Como ahí en la arena, cuando vengan unos chavales me salgo.
¿Vale?
Porque ya estoy...
¿Vale?
Estoy cansado de...
¿Viste lo de...? Bueno, en el año la consola me dijo estos días.
¿La vendió?
No, que se le dañó.
¿Qué le pasó?
Que tuvo un par de días sin prenderla, como 5 o 6 días sin prenderla, y cuando la fue a prender se... Ahora de creer, nada, vamos a jugar normal. Y, ¿cómo te digo? Se le dañó, no la quiso prender, como tuvo un par de días sin prenderla, no la quiso prender cuando la fue a prender.
Cuando la voy a prender no encendió.
No encendió. ¿Con qué armas vamos, güey?
Yo vi que la quería ver.
¿Con qué armas vamos?
No sé, Wilman.
Wilman nada más.
Una, nada más.
Wilman nada más.
Solo una.
Sí. Vamos. Ay, te vas castroso, te vas a dar de
Bien, luego pues. Evo entonces.
No, dale, vamos con todo.
Activating jump drive.
Escuchas como ronco, está enfermo.
No, debe ser el micro que se me jodió mi audífonos normales.
Un segundo.
Unos raros.
Un segundo, espérate. Hello. Hello. ¿Quién está jugando? Sí. Yo creo que ahora mismo me sigo. Dale. ¡Marieli! ¡Marieli! Dime. Dime. Dale ya, me avisa. Está listo. Dale ya, me avisa.
Ya lo me voy al lugar. Irlo poniendo pues. Irlo cambiando el...
Ya.
Ya.
Juanito Limaña.
Enemy down.
Cámbialo tú.
Cámbialo tú.
It's your lucky day. I got you. All good. Now for the right choice.
Agua.
No, estoy malísimo con la Wima.
I downed an enemy. This won't hurt. Hold on.
El 10 tiene para.
Yo casi ya ni la estoy usando, mano, por eso.
Está buena ahorita, pero no. ¿Me avisa?
Dale.
Dale.
Qué bueno ahí. Diablo. 200 tiros. 200 tiros.
Come on.
My circuits are connecting again.
Faster.
Time to drop, shock,
Porque
and
con
rock.
una tos, yo creo que a mí me dio COVID, te conté, ¿no? Ya, señora, ya voy.
Vale.
Espérame.
Vale, voy para entonces. Ya no me sacó. ¿A ti te sacó también?
¿Qué le hice yo?
No, me salió, me sacó. Vamos a armas normales.
Armas normales es la que yo quiera.
Sí, en el sí. Obviamente no venga a coger las jabos, puto. Ya estoy listo. Mira.
Smoke out.
Yo creo que era lo. No, yo aquí.
Ni para ti ni para mí. Agua.
Está escuchando salsa solo ahí. ¿Qué tú estás haciendo?
Está apretado.
It's go time.
Ponela ahí.
Dale. Me avisas cuando quieras.
Listo.
Hello.
Yo.
A la verga.
Oh, I need help. You'll be all right. I gotcha.
Ya llegaste yo aquí todavía.
Sí. Pero si están llenos, tranqui, me invitan.
No, estoy esperando. Estoy terminando aquí jugando con Panamá porque estaba esperando que tú llegaras.
Ah, duro.
No pueden invitar, déjame jugar una más aquí. Estamos en campo de tiro.
Dale. Me invitan.
John, calmate la gran puta.
No.
Bonito limón.
Cambia esta mierda que no.
Hold tight. I got your back.
No, estoy en shock todavía.
Yep, you're wonderful. Thank you.
I feel recharged.
Tengo que jugar.
Está jugando a los Jackas, puta. Está jugando a los Jackas.
I downed an enemy.
Help, please.
Y voy para allá para no verlo, muchachos.
Dale. Sí, ¿te saliste? Ah, okay. Nos quedo yo un rato.
Vale. Esta mierda.
Vete que estoy ready.
Ahí está.
Invita a este hombre a ver la emo.
Está en el firing.
Vamos para allá, por encima.
Vamos allá, que no he jugado hoy.
¿Cómo están esas espaldas, muchachos?
Hacho.
Se metió el depanador a ver qué va.
¿Tan ready para cargar 300 libras en ella?
Yo vine para que me cargaran a mí.
Pero importa ahí, por Dios que no cargaba.
No, chaval.
Por carga no, en verdad, yo estoy hoy.
300 y 200. Está apretado.
Pero él importa escuchando salsa solo en la casa.
Pues yo sé que tú estás con una Heineken ahí. Ready para darle. Cárgame.
Diablo, esto es la verdad, Dios, verdad. Juanito. Tenía muchas mañas. Diablo. El deber del padre no acaba jamás. Querido viejo.
Mira, ¿No le dijiste a Marieli que no se fuera?
Dale pa'l no pida permiso y baila así.
Dale palpi.
Clips are what cities use in their hair. This is called a magazine.
¿A dónde me quedé? Hombre, por la brea. Estamos en la brea. ¿Dónde se josea? Y ya, ya. Ay, eso es nosotros, normal.
Hacho, llévate los tubos porque no quiero hacer mucho.
Hey, stay on me. I'm the jump master.
If anyone needs me, I'll be over there.
La escudo y alma, ya, perdí la madre de...
Que G7
Yo tengo jabo y trío. Yo creo que me puedo asomar aquí rapidito.
Yo voy contigo, Alex.
¿Qué será que sí?
Aquí hay un chip blanco.
No, es que Wiman. Estoy sin carajo. Vaya.
Carajo, esa.
¿Verdad? Porque será que casi todo el tercero...
Ese Gibraltar está casi muerto, bro.
¿El tuyo está cerca de daño?
Me jodí.
¿El tuyo negro fue el que se dañó?
Rompí al Divi. Alguno.
11 le di.
Métele.
Los dos están.
Divi buena. 1v1.
Oh, y el otro lo tengo.
Picked up our teammate's banner.
Chill.
Me cago en los culos, cabrón. Mata como 3 tiros en el pecho, cabrón.
Bro, le di un clase escopetazo al Gibraltar de 11.
Tacho ese cabrón.
Es la mástil, así que...
11.
No esperes más.
Eso es lo peor. Literal.
Cheo Gallego. Este güey es malísimo, ahorita por el carajo, la skin esa. Este le voy a probar, palacho. Mala con cojones.
¿El qué?
La skin de Wiman de level 100. Hacho, la probé porque nunca la había probado.
Hacho, yo fallo todos los tiros.
Arrancando de frente y arrancando de atrás.
Es que la que tú te acostumbras a la finita esa, bro.
Sí, la finita está back to win.
Sí, con la finita yo tengo aimbot, pero hacho, con la gordita, cabrón, hacho. Ellos todas, cabrón.
Uy, cabrón.
Como, no sé qué me pasa también con las 99. Las que tienen los tubos, cabrón, de laser. Si cojo la otra flaca, cabrón, vaya todas. No sé. No sé qué carajo es.
A mí me gusta, fíjate, la de la temporada pasada, que la de Season Pass.
El R9 de
Ajá.
Sí.
¿La de 9?
Sí.
Esa, a mí no me gusta. Soy malo con ella, bien flaca.
Sí, yo la he usado, pero literal prefiero la del tubo por el lado.
Y las 301 tiene que ser la finita. Porque hay unas bien anchas que no me gustan. Las dos anchas esas no me gustan.
No, a mí me gusta el 301. No me gustan las que tienen como diseños, cabrón. Como que tienen palo, cabrón.
Las cadenas y todo eso.
Exteriores.
Me gustan las finitas.
Me gusta eso.
Pueden ser finitas.
A los gustos los colores.
Tírense.
Sabiendo. Oye, aquí vienen cojonados hoy.
No.
Fíjate, cabrón, ¿qué vas a hacer?
¡Tírate! No.
Está amenazado.
Que yo me tiré ahí, me sentí mal.
Let's see what we have over here.
Cabrón, ya lo.
Esa Abre la tengo casi muerta, pero se perdió hasta abajo, le dije puta.
Mira, no me un carajo, cabrón. ¿Qué vas a hacer, man?
Enemy right here. Took first blood. I don't hold.
A ver. Chateame, mamá. Tú sabes.
You should smile
Por esto está ya, yo soy Dragon. Ahora, ¿quién tengo? Vale. No voy a decir.
No, porque no se quiere curar ahora.
No, está medio. Está seguro.
Uy, True Terror PR, ya lo jodieron. ¿Te escucho?
No, aquí no hay liga. Es malo con cojones.
Te escucho más gente que viene.
Sí.
Yo ando sin balas ya, bro.
Yo no puedo jugar con gente que juega en el local, bro. Estoy jugando con un mexicano, de verdad era buenísimo, pero no escuchaba los pases ni un carajo ya. Era como juega ciega.
¿Quién es?
No había nada, yo no escuchaba nada, cabrón. Yo creo que él hablando y los del lado, cabrón. O sea, escuchaba más los del lado que él. Y después escuchaba, cabrón, Fortnite al otro lado. Escuchaba Gears. O sea, no te puedo quedar ni Ahora me confundía. ¿No hay escudo por aquí? Ah, no me quieren dar el escudo, cabrón.
Se queda aquí
Todo el lobby. Neta. Neta. Bueno, sabes para lo que trepa. Mario. Yo estoy lejos, no tengo escudo. Voy para allá, sin escudo metido. Tengo. Le llego.
Ah, atrás hay un cabrón castroso.
¿Dónde están? ¿Están atrás?
Give my shields a recharge.
Aquí.
No. Aquí
Aquí,
atrás.
aquí, cabrón.
Está acá arriba,
Target here.
Sí.
Ponte sangre.
Whole squad down.
Aquí, la puerta ahí.
Voy ahí. Está afuera.
Sí, literal.
Va atrás de ti.
Por ahora está afuera.
Te ayudo ahora.
Está casi muerto ese. Ese está atrás para revivirse, la Ebre.
¿Dónde está?
La Ebre tiene para revivirse, tiene moral.
No, tío.
Sí, la Ebre sí.
Juanita, linda.
Te maté.
No fuiste escrachado, bien escrachado te fuiste, lo siento, me voy acá. Yo soy
10
impulsor.
seconds until the ring closes. Grab what you need and let's go.
Aquí tiro balas de agua, circunstancias, me cagues de que perro.
Rings coming in.
Hold on, I need to heal.
Give me a sec. Recharging shields. Patching up.
Y no le contesto. No, cabrón, no. Bicho mío.
Care package on the way. I like the sound of that.
Wingman here. Most powerful handgun on the frontier.
No me la apunto para la Wingman y un Skull, ya estaría yo. De los otros tuvieron que apretar ya. Bueno, nada, pero hay que tener bien mala suerte para que se dañe el Xbox en cuarentena, cabrón.
Cabrón. Eso le pasó a Loki, lo que está haciendo mucho.
Lo
Loki se
difícil
le
es-
jodió.
Corrimienta. Todavía se dañó el Play. El Play, bracha, la dañó y se fue. Estoy loco que saque eso para darle en la cara. Para mí.
Tú, el pana tuyo.
Mierda con cojones, bro. Joda.
Optics here. Close range. Zero mod. Need to hop up. Skull piercer.
Era un 301.
Ah, te la veo una mierda, cabrón. Me voy a quitar el kill leader y tenemos 4 kills.
Sí, este match promete hacer mierda.
Ay.
Es que te digo algo, últimamente estás como jodón para encontrar la gente, bro.
Sí.
Luego todos los bots se fueron de juego.
Si ven un Cell Fire.
No, es que eso a mí ya. Y un Skull, sí, un Skull Pierce, y eso. No encuentro.
Toma Impulse, saca el dorado de ahí, que lo que puede sacarle más que una cosa, toma. Saca una cosa y se compra, ahí hay un dorado ahí.
Ah, yo prefiero el bulto, cabrón, pero fuego. Es que, Nacho, mira, está Skull Pierce. Y se va los barrios, lo que sea, cabrón, y el escudo Nacho, que no sé qué tal.
Que tú quieras.
Ay, cabrón.
Aquí abajo.
Bien apretado.
Tiene violeta.
Que Dios me perdone.
El Blowhound.
Ah, no me dejes sacar el escudo. Está bien. No me dejas sacar los legendarios.